So what Habitat does is they provide, their main job is to provide housing to low-income families through a mortgage with a 0% interest. But they also do other things like helping with ramps or fixer-upper projects, whatever people need. And the goal is just to improve people's lives. An understanding is that as part of their mission. Habitat says we're going to focus on the environmental part because if we can stabilize their environment and they'll have room to flourish. In Lagrange County, they held their first meeting in November of '95, and then they built their first home in '97. And so since their first home, their goal has been to build 1 or 2 houses a year. And this year they completed house number 32. So that house is now in its final stages where they're accepting applications to try to get somebody to move into it. All of that final details on that end. Habitat is designed to help people with a certain income qualification. And typically those people have smaller incomes and are learning financial management skills. And so Habitat will come along beside them with a 0% interest loan. But they're not going to give them $1 million loan for someone who can't afford it. That doesn't make sense. So the houses are often smaller in square footage. And if you look at them and you drive by, it almost looks like a cookie cutter house, out of a Cracker Jack box. They're very simple design. They look nice and they're fully functional, and it's a new house. But the houses don't have a basement or a garage. So that helps minimize the upfront cost. But also, after the homeowner moves in, then you have property taxes, and by not having a garage, there's some tax loopholes that the homeowner qualifies for because you're not paying extra taxes on another building. The families that move into these homes, they try to put in 125 hours of sweat equity, and that sweat equity goes towards the balance of the loan. This year and last year, the buildings trade class has built a couple of homes for them. And so that's been a pretty good experience. And they've also, in 2017, they had an all-women's build, which is pretty neat. So they try to have special groups in, and they try to work with the community, and try to diversify their volunteers as much as they can. So I mentioned before they do these little side projects for people, and their little account that they take those funds out of is called the Brush with Kindness. And so here we had a group that they would build ramps for people that Mont was leading. And so right now they're trying to work. So John Christner is working with John Sisson over at Habitat, and they're trying to collaborate to work together. So our church is trying to work with the Brush with Kindness, and so they can make the most out of the resources because the opportunity is there. So a Brush with Kindness is also a 0% interest loan where it can be repaid in sweat equity, like their house builds, or the homeowner can pay so much a month or whatever until they get paid off, and it varies by situation. But with the end goal of improving the homeowner's life. In 1998, they started having their auction as a benefit to raise funds. And so this year, it's going to be on August 5th over in Chipsheet, and it's going to be number 26 for them. We have a resale store over it's on Wayne Street, behind Terra Credit Union. The resale store is a place where if somebody does a remodel, of their bathroom or something, they can bring in their vanity sink, and if it's in good condition, we'll resell it for a majorly discounted price, like yard sale prices. Right now we have 10 people on our board, and we have an executive committee made up of a vice president, a secretary and a treasurer, and then the rest of the board is just Joe Schmoes like me. And I think on the habitat policies page, they're like the big corporation, they're supposed to have 20 people on the board, but we're doing pretty good to have 10. On behalf of the board, we'd like to thank this church for their support and opening up their space to us. We meet here once or twice a month and hammer out the details and crack a few jokes. So thank you all again, and God bless everybody from the board.